Alright, so it's that time of the year and I'm starting to get a lot of chainsaws coming in. So I have a, this one just came in. It's a Husqvarna 455 Rancher. Pretty decent chainsaw. Very similar to one I have myself. I forget what it is, the 349 I think, something like that. But anyway, the guy dropped it off and he hasn't used it in a while. He said before he was using it and it was running real sporadically, you know. So he put it away and started using it as backup. I think he uses a smaller one as a backup, and he went back to use this one. Now it won't even start at all. So let's take a look at it. Alright, so here it is. Looks to be in pretty good shape. Looks like it's well used, but it looks like it's been taken care of. He took the chain off of it. And the bulb seems to be in good shape. I don't see any fuel. Oh, there it goes. And when I check the compression, it looks like it's got plenty of compression. Here's the compression release. Yeah, so I don't think it's a compression problem. Looks like the bulb is starting to it's pushing fuel through. So I guess I will try to start it myself and see what's going on, see which direction I go. Because there's a few things I could do. I mean, well, I checked the compression, but I could still take the muffler off and take a look at the piston in the cylinder, see if there's any scoring or anything going on like that. And of course, we can check for spark, and we can also check for fuel. I mean, the three basic components, right? So it could be just. It might just need a carburetor cleaning, who knows. But I need to start cranking on this and see if it'll even try to start. See which direction to go. Alright, so I pumped the bulb, and you know, and I was holding that compression release down, but it's like it's not even trying, right? And it is pretty hard to pull, so I know there's compression there. So I think I'm going to take this cover off and first off take a look at the carburetor. Alright. Yeah, so there's a lot of sawdust and stuff in there on the outside. Alright, let's see if we can get this sucker on there. I'm going to take this down here where I can get some leverage. It's hard to pull while it's up on top of the bench. Alright, so it is getting spark. That's good. Alright, so I'm going to take a little time and clean up some of the sawdust. Looks like he's been hard at work on some cedar trees. Alright, so I cleaned off the carburetor a bit. Cleaned pretty easy, but it was pretty gunked up in there. And I saw a mud dauber's nest up in here where the chain goes through, so I'll probably be taking this cover off and cleaning it out. I don't know how long this was sitting around. So I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check the screen here and make sure it's just not totally clogged up, and the muffler too. I'll be taking that off and make sure there's enough exhaust going through everywhere. You can see what I'm doing. I'm just taking this the muffler off there. Alright, so I finally got the muffler off. You can see these were the Torx head screws, and there was one that wasn't. It was just a big Phillips, whatever. So I think this was bottoming out before it was actually seating on the bottom. I'll see if I can replace it. If not, you know, I'll just have to put that back on. But I got the muffler off. The muffler looks good. I took the screen off, and the screen is not clogged or anything like that, so that's looking good. I'm looking at the piston now. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but right in there, so far it's looking pretty good. I don't see any score marks. And I'll just move it a little bit. Yeah, so there's no score marks, so everything's looking good on the piston side. Alright, so we're taking the carburetor off. You can see this little deal here. Just pop that back. Let's see, so there's, you can see there's the nut there, a nut here, and there's two on top, here and here. The throttle cable needs to come off. If you can see that, this little blue clip, you just gotta pop it back. It kind of snaps on. There it goes. So you gotta lift it up a bit, and then it comes out. This linkage for the throttle, now you can lift it up. Lift it up and forward to pull it out of the handle there. There it goes. And then there's this little thing there. And let's get these screws off. Like I said, there's two at the bottom here, one on each side, and two at the top. Come on. There it is. And the two on the bottom, I believe these are a little longer. Yep. So the bottom two are longer. Just trying to grab it here. Okay, so now these pieces, if you see, it has little rubber bumpers here, so you have to kind of squeeze it over and up. There's that one. And there's that one. So while I'm trying to, this thing should come out, and you loosen up the little ports here. But let me show you what I'm looking at. I think I found the problem. So if you see that there on the fuel line, let me see if I can, yeah, you can see that bottom line going down to the carburetor. You see where it's split right there? And I think that's the problem. I don't think I did that while I was messing around with it, but I could have. But I have a feeling that's where it's not getting any fuel through, because even though it sounds like it's working, it was split. Yeah, and I just split it the rest of the way, so it was okay. So I'm trying to get this sucker out of here. There it is. These little rubber bumpers on the side. There it goes. Jesus Christ. Didn't want to let go. Get those off of there. Okay, so you see part of the fuel line, the way it's just cracked off of there, and it just came apart. So we'll be replacing that hose, going to the bulb, and we'll might as well check out the rest of them. The rest of them feel okay. I'm kind of surprised that one split there. Alright, so the bolt seemed okay, but I went in and put a new one on. Alright, and there's a little piece of hose. Alright, so everything else is just you put it back together the same way as you took it off. Let's see. So I'll pop the choke back in place. It's easier if you move the choke open like that, then you can pop it on. Much easier. And let's get that lined up. There we go. Yeah, and this is always such a tight squeeze in here, but you know, when you insert it in, make sure you put the hose back on. Oh, that's right, I need to clip this. I want to get that that brittle part of it off. Broke my scissors. Is that enough, or should I do a little more? Let's do a little more. There we go. Squeeze that in. Just hook up the hose. Such a tight squeeze in this little cavity. And when you do that, make sure that your hoses aren't being pinched, like this one is trying to. Alright. Get everything lined up. Get everything out of the way. When you start pushing it down, remember you've got these little bumpers here that the carburetor needs to go on each side. So there's one. And there's two. Alright, so on this side, make sure all your connections are connected here for the stop switch. Alright, let's get our throttle linkage back on. So here's that little, first let's get this carburetor tightened down. Alright, now we can put our linkage on. Slide this through a little bumper here. Slide it through the grommet. Now this should just insert back in. You can see it's a little rectangular looking tab. And it should just there we go. Should go that way, and you can pop it right back on where it came out. There we go. Let's get the grommet where it should be. And here's the little nose. So now you can slide that back into place and then push your tab back into place. And make sure everything's working before you give it a final push. So the choke's working, throttle's working. Alright. Push this grommet back into place. There it is. so everything's in place. Looks like the bulb is pumping fuel. That's good. What else? Guess all this I can go ahead and put it all back together. I just took it off. I wanted to make sure that there was no, because I saw a little mud dauber nest right there. Came out from underneath here. But looks like it's okay. Alright, I'll put it on the floor here where I can pull it. Hard to do it on a bench. And I'm sure I'll have to adjust it. Alright, well that looked like it solved the problem. It was that one fuel line that was cracked. And but I did have to clean it out a lot, and you can see there was some stuff spewing out here, so it looks like it's smoking up a little bit, but I'm sure after we burn all this stuff up. Plus I'm running it at 40 to 45 to 1, and I don't know what this calls for. A lot of times it calls for like 60 to 1. But I always have a little more oil, especially when I'm working on something and that hasn't been started up in a while. But so I just mixed up some fresh gas, and it's about 40 to 1, 45 tops. Alright, so that was it. It was an easy fix, but you know, when you start troubleshooting it, you know, you got to start somewhere. So, you know, I checked for spark, checked the compression, and while I had everything off, I went ahead and cleaned up a little bit, and then took the carburetor off, cleaned it out, but then noticed that the that fuel line had a crack, and when I jiggled it around, it just popped right off. So that was it. Everything else looks pretty good. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and watch for my next video.